Mr. Keith, thank you for coming out from Santa Monica, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
This weekend is very exciting for your organization. Can you tell me, can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yeah, so my name is Keith Sexton. I am the Associate Director of Active Engagement for Movember. I've been working for Movember for about coming up to 11 years now, so I've been around for a long time there.
When's this started about Movember?
So Movember began back in 2003 in Melbourne, Australia. And the kind of story about how that came about was two guys were having a drink at a bar, kind of talking about fashion and why mustaches had never come back into fashion at that time.
Yeah.
And they decided to grow mustaches for the month just for fun. And they realized they were starting a lot of conversations with
Over
their
the
mustaches.
Really?
Yeah. So those mustaches, they're like, wow, what if we could do something good with all these conversations we're starting?
Yeah.
And they were kind of inspired by the women's health movement and breast cancer awareness and research at the time. So they wanted to do something on the side for men. So they wanted to do something for men's health, and they decided to raise money for prostate cancer at the time with Prostate Cancer Foundation Australia, who, funny enough, when they told them their idea, they're like, no, that's okay. You guys don't need to do that. They did it anyway and ended up raising somewhere over $40,000. And they were like, oh, okay, yes, you can do this. And the movement kind of began then. And then in 2007, it kind of spread across the globe and landed here in America. And we've been growing mustaches and promoting men's health ever since.
Oh, that's amazing. Because this Sunday, May 21st, is the DGR. When did DGR in November link up? Or how did that get involved?
Yeah, so I think there's that kind of synchronicity with men's health. Men love motorcycling and cafe racers and all that kind of stuff. And so back in 2016, DGR was kind of formed and they wanted to do something with charity, and they found Movember and they kind of, decided to collaborate. And we've been the beneficiary of the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride ever since.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it's an incredible ride. If, it's over 600 rides across the globe on the same day. I would say at the same time, but obviously time zones don't work like that. But everyone riding across, it's an incredible time. I've been fortunate enough to visit Chicago and San Francisco and Los Angeles and see those rides, and just seeing the passion of the community, not just for motorcycles, but also for men's health and the stuff we stand for.
That's awesome. And back to, you've been with them for 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
How was the start of that?
Yeah, so I was coming off of a period of unemployment, and I had a degree in accounting and finance, and saw a LinkedIn post. I had been participating in Movember since 2009, so a couple of years before I started in 2012. Saw a post on LinkedIn, was like, I might go for that. I am not relatively qualified because it was managing everything in their finance department, where I was, a cog in a machine of many finance people in corporate America. But I got the job, and it was an incredible place to work because, every day was different. Everything is so unique, and all the people there are passionate about what they do. You're surrounded by people that love what they do and want to be there for a great reason. And so I was there, and being able to work with the community was so awesome to me that I wanted to see what else I could do there. And, I moved into our fundraising team a few years later, and, it's really awesome to work with our community, and the people that participate in Movember and participate with our organization, they're passionate too. So you're surrounded by people who are passionate about the same cause that you are. It's really
it's such a beautiful cause.
Mm-hmm.
This is random, but I always bring up these random facts and things into these conversations. Did you hear about that lady that she changed her gender into male? Like, she just wanted to see what it was to be like a man, and she changed her gender into male. And I think after a few years, she killed herself. She says she was treated so bad. I gotta look at that story. But she was treated so bad as a man. Like, women were like, "Hey, what are you looking at?" And guys were just kind of busting each other's balls. It was so abusive that she kills herself. And there's a book about it now. But it's wild, how bad men are treated, or how people assume that men are so, they get everything and they're so lucky and they're so blessed, but nobody understands the fucking struggle that we deal with.
When it comes to men's health specifically, you know, we
Mental
have,
health.
yeah, men's mental health, physical health. Men are kind of, you know, we're grown up to say, you know, oh, don't talk about that. That's not something you talk about. You get hurt. You walk it
Walk
off,
it
throw
off.
up some dirt in it, all that kind of stuff. It's not, you know, it's weak to talk about anything that's gone wrong or that's not working right, especially with mental health. So, you know, that's what Movember is about. We want the mustache that we have for the month of Movember. That's a conversation starter, just like it was back in 2003. It's designed to start those. We call it our hairy ribbon.
Yeah.
We don't wear the pink ribbon. We have the ribbon on our face, and so that is a conversation starter. And it should be an idea that men should and can talk about. You know what they're going through, what their mental health, their physical health. You know, encourage them to be a proactive participant in their health. So going to see a doctor regularly, get checkups, going to see the doctor when something doesn't feel right instead of just ignoring it and hoping it goes away. And really, you know, talking about mental health and making sure that, you know, breaking down that stigma, telling people it's okay to go to therapy, it's okay to talk about this with your buddies and all that kind of stuff.
That's funny because you say that, and it sounds like such normal advice. Like it's so basic, but
Yep.
then like I'm like, what? I'm not the only one that's like hanging on to pain and hoping it goes away.
Exactly,
You
and
know?
I think it's a common bond that guys have, and we're all sitting here like, oh God, I'm the only one that's going through this, and if I say anything, my friends are gonna, you know, bust my balls, or they're gonna do this or that to me, or you know, I'm gonna be, you know, just removed from the friend group or whatever it is, and it's like, no, I bet if you brought that up, all your friends would be like, oh yeah, that happened to me too, or I've gone through that.
That's true. I have this one friend, and one time we were doing like cleanses and stuff, and you know, he's always lived pretty far away. But I was like, oh, dude, I'm trying this cleanse from Amazon. He's like, I'm trying this cleanse. And then my mom was visiting. I was like, dude, you know, I took this big shit. And I feel so much better. He's like, yeah, dude, this thing helped and stuff like. And my mom's like, this is so cool. You have a friend that you're talking about, like, you know, cleansing and health and you know whatever the case is, and it's so important because people deal with that with themselves. And then something bad happens and they can't even share that, you know, or the feedback like, oh, dude, this happened to me. I felt bad. My stomach felt tight, whatever the case is. And then you're getting that same feedback and you're like, oh, I can go back and forth. You don't have to do it by yourself.
Exactly, and honestly, like those small, like you said, those small interactions that you open up, and you start growing a little bit more comfortable, that if something big happens in your life, you know that you have that person to go to, or you can talk about that stuff now.
Now, you might have said this. I just want to comprehend everything, and I'm sure a lot of people do too. What on top of it, you know you raise this awareness with the mustache and donations, and you guys are into this health and everything else. What if somebody's going through something? What can they expect? Can they reach out to you and say, "Hey, I'm depressed, or I feel sick, or I feel this. Movember, can you? I need help. I need to talk to somebody. What do you guys offer for people?"
So we have a couple different things. On our website, at least, there's a wide list of resources for people that are going through things that, you know, it could be anything from domestic abuse to gender identity, LGBTQ issues, substance abuse, all that kind of stuff. We've got resources for that. We also created a couple programs that are online and available for anybody. One's called Movember Conversations, which allows anyone to kind of, it's like an interactive, a game, but an interactive kind of way to learn how to have tough conversations. So learning how to approach people that, you know, you think might be struggling or going through some stuff, how to have those conversations without turning them off, because sometimes, you know, you can approach somebody and be like, hey man, what's going on? Oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know, I'm fine, and you stop there. And so it's how to have those conversations and how to dig deeper and have really meaningful conversations. We also did a program called Family Man in a similar vein for new fathers, because anytime you go through a big life change, whether that's you know, having a child, going through a divorce, moving, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Girlfriend, yeah.
Exactly, all that kind of stuff can lead to, you know, mental health issues, depression, all that kind of stuff. So with new fathers, you know, there's our Family Man program that allows them to kind of work through like, oh man, my kid's acting up, how do I deal with this stuff? So learning that stuff to help their mental health.
That's interesting. So they can find all that stuff on the website.
Exactly. We also have something called our ALEC model, which helps people with those tough conversations. So ALEC stands for ask, listen, encourage action, and check in. So asking your friend how they're doing, really listening to them. And the important thing with listening is listen non-judgmentally. Don't try to, and it's something guys do a lot. And we actually went through a suicide prevention training yesterday at work. And, one of the big things we're taught is you listen non-judgmentally. And it's really important not to offer advice through that when you're trying to listen. Because guys tend to do that. We tend to try to fix things.
Yeah.
We try to be like, there's a problem, attack the problem with a solution. And you can't do that. You really just have to listen to what they're going through, and then encouraging them to find the appropriate solution. So if it is substance abuse, maybe go to an AA meeting, or if it's depression, seek out therapy. There's online options. There's maybe a workplace offers something. So there's different ways to go about that, and then checking in on them and making sure that once you've had that conversation once, it's not the only time you have it, and you make sure they're doing all right.
Yeah, it's so complicated, man. I mean, it's good you guys are offering this and training on that. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Because if you have an issue and you hold it in, it's terrible.
Yep.
But then if you start unloading it on your friends get like a little annoyed and they're like, "Fuck, man, I don't know what to do, bro. Yeah, that kind of sucks, And then there's the whole thing that if people give advice, I'll give you a perfect example. Every time somebody has a problem with their wife or girlfriend, oh my God, this, that. The moment you start giving advice, 2 months later, you're regretting giving that advice. Oh, well, she's a bitch, or you know what, she cheated on you, or she did that to you, or she took your money, whatever the case. Dude, I wouldn't deal with that. She doesn't love you. She doesn't care about you. Get away from her. But a month later, it always works out.
Yeah.
They always fix it. Now you're the dick
Yeah.
that said the wrong thing.
You hate my girlfriend, right?
Yeah, great. And
she knows about it.
She knows about it, obviously, and now it's So my point is if you tell people to make your problems, they get annoyed overall because they have their own problems. Mm-hmm. And if you give advice, you end up kicking yourself in the ass. So then it becomes this thing where you're like, well, what the fuck am I going to do? And of course, now you're mentioning the therapies and everything else. I'm just talking about like how that builds up as a man. It builds up. Like all of a sudden, the bar is just like it's not even there anymore.
Yeah,
and all you get is therapy.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like, we need to break that stigma and not let guys hold on to that and let it ball up until it becomes destructive or becomes something that they just can't help anymore. God forbid it leads down a road of suicide or something like that. But when everyone feels comfortable talking about this stuff, all of a sudden it's not a burden. It's not a burden to your friends. You're not annoying your friends because they're like, yeah, you know what? I understand that. Then they have a person that they can go to too when they're having problems. And so it becomes like a community. So being that social connectedness and being able to have those people in your life is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing. You start pre-assuming before even getting involved, and maybe they do care, or maybe they do want to help, and you're just kind of like, well, I know they have their own problems, and
And even, for the men listening out there, you want to approach your friend, you can say, hey, I just want to talk. I don't need solutions. I just need to get this off my chest. That can put your friend in a position of, cool, I don't need to solve this for him. He just needs someone to listen to.
Yeah.
And that can make all the world of difference. And when, even if you approach a friend and they're like, yo, I'm fine, whatever, and they're not, asking them can let them know that, hey, when I am ready to talk, that guy's ready to listen.
Yeah. What's been helping me a lot when I get frustrated or there's just a disappointment or, whatever, you help somebody out and then things turn and then they're not there for you, like whatever. The way that I've been dealing with it is I'll lose sleep, I'll stress out, I'll go crazy. Now I just go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I just take it out of the gym. And I've probably said this once or twice on the podcast. I've always been active. I'll do a hike here or go to the gym like twice a month. These last 3 years, because of partnerships or because of stress or because of COVID or because of whatever, I was losing so much sleep. 5 a.m, I'm like, fuck, man, I have to do something. And now, like, I'm going to the gym every day, and it helps.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I'm pretty fucking mad.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like that physical exertion really does help, but there's plenty of studies out there that talk about how good, mental health, like being physically active can improve your mental health. So
Yeah,
when you're experiencing those things, like getting active, and it's again, there's no one solution
at
that's gonna
all.
hit everybody.
Right.
But, being physically active, going out for a walk, even if it's as simple as that, you don't have to, lift heavy weights all the time and, run a marathon, but, just walking around can help clear your mind and all that kind of stuff is really great for your mental health.
Yeah, treadmill, elliptical, any of that stuff. No, it's mind boggling.
Yep.
It's really helped a lot.
Or going for a ride. Go on your motorcycle and go for a ride.
That's the other one. This one I've said many times.
Yeah.
No matter how tired, cold, exhausted, stressed, angry, no matter what it is, the moment I walk towards my bike, it's always like, oh, I'm about to ride. This is scary. But then I kick my foot over. The moment I turn that on, everything's gone.
Yeah.
I could have a conversation with you outside, freezing my ass off. But the moment I get on my bike, and it's weird because I'm getting blown by air,
Yeah.
as soon as I get on the bike, it's like, all right, you're hyper focused. You're just looking around, what's going on, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it becomes your happy place, and that's for men out there. Find that what that is for you. Whether it is going to the gym, going for a ride. Is there something that makes you feel great? Do that.
Yeah. How has Movember evolved since its establishment in 2013?
Yeah, so 2003 is when we first started.
2003.
Yes. Again, came to America in 2007. But, when Movember was first started, it was all about, growing mustaches in the month of November, which we dubbed Movember. Mo is the Australian term for mustache. That's their slang, so that's where it comes from. And it was really just about that during that month. So getting men to grow mustaches, start those conversations, raise funds and awareness for men's health. We really focused on prostate cancer, testicular cancer at the time, men's focused cancers. Shortly, after we started bringing in mental health into the cause because it was, such an issue and such a thing that wasn't talked about, especially for men.
Yeah.
And as we grew, we also started incorporating some new ways for people to participate. So for those people who, may not want to grow a mustache in the month of November or can't grow a mustache, especially women, we don't encourage them to grow mustaches, but we offer different things like our Move Challenge, which is running or walking 60 miles through the month of November. And that actually represents the 60 men who take their own lives every hour of every day. So there's a really good reason for that 60 number. But people can also choose their own challenge and figure out a fun way to do that. So maybe it's, we've had people ride their motorcycles across the country, or, somebody bike from Florida to Washington, states, not DC. And, that kind of stuff is a really great way. So we operate year round. We're not just in the month of November. We're tackling men's health issues and really encouraging men to, be a part of their health.
Yeah. It's strange on a marketing side of it. It's interesting that people come up with this name like Movember. It's in November. It's Movember, and then I wonder how that conversation went. Where it's like, hey, do we do this 12 months out of the year? Do we keep the Movember name, or do we change it to more general? The fact they kept it. The backstory on that or no?
Yeah, there's lots of conversations about that. It's tough, but when you have your brand, you want that recognition, so you keep it. And we're still all about the mustache. Like that's our symbol. I've got a shirt on with it right now. That's what we're about. And so, we want people to understand we're more than just a month. Men's health doesn't stop in November. It's a year-round situation. So that's what it is.
Yeah. What are some challenges you face in addressing men's health issues, and how does Movember work to overcome them?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ones is, men are stubborn. Men are very stubborn, and we don't want to do this all the time. We don't always want to share. We don't always want to talk about hard conversations. We don't want to feel like burdens when, either prostate cancer diagnosis. I've talked to several people that, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, but I didn't want to burden my family with that news, and so I just didn't do anything about it, or I did it in quiet, and I only told my wife, or something like that. And so that's one of the struggles, is getting men to understand, like, hey, this is what we're about. This is what we're trying to do, is get you to do this. So it's really about, keeping those conversations going, whether or not we, podcasts like this, anyone who's listening, if anyone takes anything away from this, is, it's takes way more balls to talk about what's going on than to hide it and pretend you're fine. Because when you're not fine, that's when things get worse and things can go south. And so if people actually take care of themselves, it's going to not just be better for the men, but the people in their lives and the people around them.
Um, I'm sure, well, I'm not going to assume, but is there a thin line of a serious issue versus a complaint?
Sure.
You
Of
know?
course, there's always going to be that, right? My arm's a little sore. Is that, because I worked out yesterday? Or is that because my, tendon snapped? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe a terrible analogy.
But I'm saying, like, in mental health, or like in a therapist point of view, like, is there, like, oh, dude, my girl left me. This is heartbreaking, like, or, like, that's serious. Like, that could be, man, that can, like, oh my God, that's hard to deal with, a breakup.
Yep.
But then there's, the complaint. It's just, fuck, man, oh, dude, I hate when I go to the fucking store and they don't give me the ketchup. They're just complaining and nagging. Is there a limit, or is there I believe there's a thin line between, like, something serious and then something of, like, dude, the story you're telling yourself is a lot worse than what it is.
Sure, and
like,
I think
that's not even a problem.
Yeah, I think anyone can go through that. And what your story you just told, in that example, it reminded me of, like, okay, but if that annoyance, is that something are you actually annoyed by the store not having ketchup, or are you annoyed by something else and it's manifesting in the ketchup situation? So, that thin line is very, not only is it thin, but it's very complex. Is that a symptom of a much larger issue, or is it, man, that was super annoying? But if it's something you can get over in about 10 minutes, probably not a big deal. But if you're constantly get upset by small things, maybe there's something else.
No, you're absolutely right. No, that's my point. My point is, like, somebody that's just, like, so annoyed about little things.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like, you're just complaining now, dude. You're just being a dick.
Yeah, there's plenty of negative.
But you're right. If you start digging, there's something deeper than that problem.
Exactly. And I think that's what people need to understand and recognize those patterns and know that that's going on. I don't know if you watched Ted Lasso at all.
Yeah, I watched the first season.
Oh, great. There was a recent episode where one of the players was just screaming, freaking out. He got a red card injected from the game, and they're like, I don't know what's going on, but that's not what you're mad about. So you need to figure out what you're mad about and deal with it, because that's a problem. And so they understood, like, he's mad, he's yelling about X, Y, and Z, but it's not the cause of it. And so understanding the older gentleman of the
team, right?
No, it was somebody else. I don't know if he's in the first season or not.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
I had some facts here. Okay, we covered Sydney, Australia.
Melbourne, actually.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Yep. I believe Distinguished Gentleman's Ride actually started in Sydney, though.
You know what? You're right. 2012.
Yes,
that's where the event was first. The Distinguished Gentleman Ride was an annual charity motorcycle event that takes place on the last Sunday of September. The event was first held in 2012 in Sydney, Australia, and has since grown to become a global phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
So that went to my facts on that. Movember was indeed established in 2003 in Australia by a group of friends, and it has since grown into a global movement. The concept behind Movember involves men growing mustaches during. Okay, we got that. Movember focuses on key areas of men's health, including prostate cancer. We got that. Movember has funded over 1,250 men's health projects worldwide since its inception, supporting innovative research. In addition to mustache growing, Movember encourages individuals to engage in physical activities. How do they do that? Hosting fundraiser events and starting conversations about men's health.
Yeah, so the physical activities is that move challenge, that's 60 miles for the 60 women. And, hosting events, I think, when it comes to charity, I think people understand, like, hosting events, gala dinners, and that kind of stuff. But for us, it's, get together with your friends, have a dinner party together, have a small scale thing, go out to, we've had people do bar nights. It can be something very simple or it can be something, much more grand. It doesn't need to, there's no real like book to explain what that needs to be, but anything where you can get together. And something else that events promote is social connectedness. I kind of mentioned that earlier, but that's a really important thing for mental health as well. There's been studies that have also shown that men, as they grow older, they lose their relationships in their lives. When they get married, they have children, where women tend to hang on to those and they still keep in touch with their friends and they still see their friends. Men tend to not. They have their kids and they have their wife, and maybe their friends just become their wife's husbands, and then it becomes a little bit different, so they don't have that outlet. So maintaining those relationships and having that strong social connectedness really helps keep positive mental health.
Do you have any statistics or facts about again, just a fun question about men in Australia versus men in America, the depression rate there versus here? Are statistically, do they communicate more, communicate less with each other, or do Americans complain more than is there any factual?
There probably is. I don't have that information off the top of my head, but I do know like the global suicide rate is fairly comparable. So like when it comes to suicides, 4 out of 5 suicides are by men. So when you look at that 80% of suicides are men, and globally that number is fairly constant. And so I think there is a constant. I think that issue of that masculinity and being strong, and that if you're injured, go talk about it. I think that's prevalent across the globe, and in certain cultures it's even worse. We had interviewed somebody yesterday. She's from a Mexican family, and she was like, it is a stigma. We do not talk about that. And the first time my brother brought something up, it became like this huge thing in our household. It just shocked our parents. And so, you have that intersectionality of different things that are happening that, make things worse.
There was a story about a police negotiator. Like don't kill yourself or don't push the thing or whatever. He was a negotiator, and he says the number one story that affected his life more than ever was a story where this guy jumped off the building. And when they did the investigation, like he literally just walked up and so there was no time to. So the first thing they do, being a police officer, is they go to his home and let's look for the suicide letter. And what caught him off guard on this one was, in his suicide letter, he goes, I'm gonna take my life because of this. There's no interaction, there's no companionship, there's nobody.
Yeah.
But he put a cause. He put like a little stop almost, and he says, if anybody says hi to me before I get to the building, I won't take my life.
Yeah.
And
And yeah, that's that social connectedness again, where it's like having somebody in your life, and if people recognize that more, and just that's just a great lesson for our country, for the world, is just be kind to each other.
Oh, just be kind. I posted a video on my Instagram maybe a week ago, and I don't really do selfies or like anything. I'm always taking pictures and making like videos, but I don't.
Yeah.
And it was cool because I did a little selfie, and at that moment, this lady walks by me and she says, "Good morning and God bless you."
Mm.
And I was like, "Whoa!" And I caught it, and I posted, and I was like, "That's like so amazing." And then next thing you know, I said that to like 3 other people on the way down. And I was like, it's the simple thing. It's contagious. And then same thing. I went to Pepperdine, and one of the first takeaways that I took, that I learned in my first semester was, if you need something, ask for help. People want to help.
Exactly.
People truly want to help. But if you don't ask, somebody says, "Can I help?" You're like, "No, I'm good." And they're like, "All right."
Okay, he doesn't need help.
Yeah, very simple. It's nothing, and just ask for help and then take help.
Yeah. That was a motto of ours. Our country director would always say that: ask for help, offer help, and it's something he he's imparted on me, and I love that phrase, and I think it's very important. So many people are scared of being a burden to other people, and myself included. I do this all the time, where it's like, oh no, I don't want to burden that person with my, with whatever problem it is, big or small. But with the people in your lives, the people that love you and care about you, you're not a burden to them. They want to help you.
Yeah. I mean, we'll keep it nice and short. I want to get this published today.
Awesome.
So I'll probably have it this evening. Websites, links. I'm sure it's all Movember, but
yep, it's Movember.com. Yeah. Hey guys, Movember.com. You can head there. You can find out more information about Movember, what we stand for, what our our projects and programs that we funded. And if you want to get involved, there's a sign up button there where you can donate as well. But yeah, Movember.com or socials. If you want to find us on Instagram, it's at Movember. Facebook at Movember USA. But yeah, anything you can find on there, get in touch with us if you want to learn more. We're a small office and we're all humans there. So we're all happy to help anyone that comes through our doors.
And then just in case you don't know, or for the listeners, this is a tax deduction.
We are a full 501c3. A lot of people haven't heard of us, or they're not fully sure that we're a charity, but we're a full 501c3 charity. So all donations are tax deductible.
Are tax deductible, which is huge for those big major companies and everything else. It's a tax write-off.
Exactly.
Plus, it's a good cause. Anything we missed? Anything you want to?
No, just encourage everyone to check us out. And if you're in the city with the DGR race this weekend, go say hi. Go see what it's all about. It's really cool to see, hundreds possibly of motorcycles all riding the same route together.
And then one more thing for the donations. It doesn't matter where they donate, right? Movember, my link, Kindness link.
So there's
all goes to the same spot.
Yeah, so when people sign up to participate, you send out your personal fundraising page, or you donate to Movember generally. It all goes to the same place. We are a peer-to-peer fundraiser, meaning I'll ask you to sign up. You ask, you tell your network about it and have them donate. And so that kind of gives you credit for, your fundraising. We've had people, who have fundraised with us for, 14 years and, are raising up into the $50,000 mark, the $100,000 mark. So being able to kind of see that time over time is really great to see your impact.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, this year, it's funny because I've donated to like multiple friends that participate on my events and they donate. So I'm like, all right, so I donated to 3 different people. And then yesterday I got a call and they're like, hey, you haven't raised any funds. I'm like, well, I donated to multiple people. Like, what do you mean? And I'm doing this promotion and I'm pushing. And they're like, no, part of it's raising funds. I was like, oh, shoot. So I'm going to do my best this year.
Awesome.
Next year, I promise you guys, I'm going to.
I love it.
I'm going to knock it out.
Love it.
Keith, thank you so much, man.
No, appreciate you having us on and me on and talking about Movember. So
absolutely. Hopefully I can have you guys back on before November.
Awesome.
And start pushing this, and then I don't have to wait for the Distinguished Gentleman Ride, right?
Exactly.
So and are these the 2 biggest events, DGR and Movember?
Movember is our biggest campaign of the year. DGR is a huge event that supports us. And we have some other smaller ones throughout the year, but these are our bigger ones.
What takes place for Movember? Because DGR is a big motorcycle ride, and ends up here. It starts in a secret spot and ends in a secret spot.
Yep.
It's so much fun. You're riding with a bunch of people. What is November's month like?
November is mustaches everywhere. You're seeing mustaches, and if you.
But is there a party? Is there an event?
It depends. We have lots of local ambassadors that will throw events in our city. So we're LA based. We don't have chapters, but we've got a lot of amazing community ambassadors across the country that help us keep our community tight. So whether you're in Seattle or you're in Boston or Chicago, we've got people who are throwing events there and throwing different types of parties and just events. We'd like to kick off the month. We'd like to celebrate at the end and raise money in between.
So hypothetical. So two more things. So in November, any man that has a mustache knows what's up. You can just cross the room and be like.
I would say about 80% of them are like, yeah, this is for November. And you get the nod.
And you get the nod. And then number 2. So hypothetically, there's not an official event, but there's multiple official events. Meaning, if I did the Ride Boundless,
team
event, whatever in a bar and raised money for this. People
That's
can
it.
just
That's part of it. Yeah, people can show up. People can donate. They can participate. They can grow mustaches. They can walk those 60 miles, host their own events. That's all part of it.
And then when people walk the 60 miles, they're just documenting on their Apple Watch and posting it and showing it.
Yeah, so part of our website, when you do sign up for a page and you're doing that, we actually link to Fitbits, Garmin, and Apple Watches to sync
Wow.
them together, so you can actually see your progress accumulate over the month.
That's amazing, man. Keith,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Hey, I appreciate it. It's great to spread the word, and hope hope your listeners understand. Like, again, it takes more balls to talk about your health than it does to
Literally.
prevent it, talk about it and avoid it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
No problem.